Hey everybody, it's Book of Katherine. Today we're going to be talking about one of the most repeated prophecies in the Bible regarding these times, and that is the sun will fade out. And that has come true, and I'm going to go over with you how we know that's happened today, how the sun will fade out. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Well, it turns out that our sun has its own solar cycle. And what that means is every 11 years, our sun moves from dark right here. And that means very few sunspots. And it rotates around to what's called its brightest point, and then it moves around back to dark. And that's called a cycle. The sun actually goes from dark to bright to dark. So it actually goes up and down in brightness and darkness. Now, how do we know that's happening? Well, we can see it in what's called the sunspots. If it has more sunspots, the sun is brighter. And if it has fewer sunspots, it's darker. And so when it has these sunspots, the most, at the very peak of that solar cycle, it's known as the solar maximum. And when it has its least, which is usually no sunspots at all, that's what's known as the solar minimum. And as you can see from this chart here, this was the solar cycle for, it has years here, 1996 on around to 2006. And if you follow any of these sustainability channels, you'll notice that this is the one they're using as pictures of the solar cycle, something from as far back as the mid 90s. And you may wonder why that is. Why are they using pictures from the mid 90s? There's a reason for that. Because our sun today now has dark spots. So this doesn't just have very few solar spots. We're actually starting to get dark spots. This is a 2019 photo, and that was before we even hit our minimum. We were coming towards our minimum, and there were already dark spots forming, never mind no sunspots. And they have not been talking about that. You can even see shadow forming in here. And so this has been renamed something new as it's gotten so dark. This has never before happened in history. They've had to give it a new term, not just solar minimum, but a grand solar minimum. That's how dark the sun has become. And actually, we can see when that's been happening. That hasn't just happened this year. That's been happening. Sorry, I got to move myself up there. Hope that's not discombobulating. But if you look down here, this is the 19th, that sun we just saw, the dark sun. So we're on cycle 25 now. We just began cycle 25. That's below the charts. It's the lowest they've ever seen it. But as you can see here, cycle 23, which was the one you just saw, was pretty dark. And then it came down. And cycle 24 was even darker than cycle 23. But as much as they try to focus on the last 30 years of the sun getting darker and darker and darker, it's hard to find the research, but it's out there. These are the so it's been going down. The sun has been growing darker and darker since 1971. They don't even have it on the chart here. This is 1978. But actually, they said the sun began getting darker. If you look up this actual research article, they said the solar output began decreasing in the year 1971. Why is that significant? Well, if we just take our little calculator here, and we say, oh, it's already turned. No! Come on. I'm like, don't show you that. Work. There, we're back. If we take our calculator and we do the year 2021, and oh my God, I should have done a slide of this already. 2021 minus 1971. What do we get? Dun 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 dun. 50! And we know what 50 is. 50 is a jubilee. That means the sun began to grow dark in the last jubilee of the 7,000 years of Jubilees. That means after 70 Jubilees to Exodus and 70 Jubilees moving away to Exodus, the 70th Jubilee, that 50-year cycle, the sky began to grow dark. The sun began to grow dark, which explains why they said she holds her head in shame. We'll get into that later. But just so you know, the sun began growing dark exactly 50 years ago, not 1970, 1971, which, by the way, is also a massive eruption for Etna, the 9,990-foot volcano in Italy. All right, I hope you guys got a lot out of that, and I will see you on the next one. Please donate $1 below. It would make a big difference in my healthcare to enable me to keep doing these for you, and keep tweeting as I always do at Book of Katherine, or my new fiction one at Prophet's Journal. See you on Twitter every day. Until then, I'll see you again. Bye.